Thank you very much. I'm John Savage from Heartland Recycling. Happy New Year, and good to see everybody again. So, a couple of things I wanted to bring up. First, some of you've heard already, but I just want to reinforce again that this is a land reclamation project. This is the mechanism to take this distressed property and put it in a livable state. The CCD, construction, demolition, and debris process, is the Illinois State EPA regulated.
Speak up a little bit, please.
The Illinois State EPA has regulated. The speaker just not go to the whole crowd here, but they put together the CCDD regulation solely for the purpose to be able to rehabilitate and take these distressed properties back into functional use.
The company, you're going to help us fill it in, but the only comment I have to make is what is safe today is not going to be safe tomorrow. We don't know what is going to be safe. A good example was years ago, West Chicago was a firm there called Kerr McGee. They were giving residents thorium to put in their backyards. The rate of cancers and what happened to everybody's well was rendered useless. Go back to other things that was considered safe, it's not safe today. We go back to the 70s in California. Atari, everybody knows Atari, the clean electronics industry. They were washing their circuit boards with trichloethylene and dumping it out back. Rendered their wells useless, also rendered quite a few people with liver cancer. So I'm sure you have great intentions. But what's safe today is not safe tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schumacher.
Not necessary. I already know where you're coming from. I'm one of the people who said, how did this get here? This is across the street from a school. Does everybody here have their head on backwards? Can't you see? Are you going to put that thing across the street from our children? Are you going to do that to us? Is that your intention? Yeah, what about Wabansie? And then you talk about reclaiming? Anybody you know want to build a house on a dump? Are you kidding us? We've lived in our house for 40 years, 45 years. I don't want that thing near me. If that thing was there, I wouldn't have bought a house within 20 miles of it. So you're attacking my property values, you're attacking my children and grandchildren, and you don't care because you're telling us you're out of here in 5 years. I was here for 40 years. I'd like to think I could be here for another 40 years, but not with that thing and not with what it introduces. Now, I am going to ask you a question. What do you think is the best use for that property when you're done?
It's difficult to say right now.
Yeah, you bet it's difficult to say.
Well,
Now,
let me finish. Please.
Sure, go ahead.
You look at the Cantera development at Winfield Road and I-88. That development turned into commercial. You got restaurants, you got movie theaters, but you'll go up on north of Route 25 up in South Elgin. You've got residential being done on CCD facilities.
Let me tell you what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Holy Angel School. That whole neighborhood was built on a dump. I could probably name 10 or 12 people who died from cancer in that area. You want to bring that to our neighborhood? We don't want it. We don't want it.
Get out.
You tell us 80 trucks a day will have no adverse effect? How dumb do you think we are? Well, wait a minute. I know how dumb you think we are because of what you said to us. Well, I want to tell you, we are not that dumb. Let's have a show of hands. Who favors that thing? Who favors it? Anybody? I don't see one hand. Now, I'm going to talk to you people. You're our elected officials.
No, we're not.
Okay, you're our government officials of some sort. Now, what I want to say,
They all have some sort.
and I don't know where any of you stand. I assume you're all neutral.
Correct.
At this point, what my experience has been, if I lie to the government, it's a felony. If the government lies to me, it's disinformation. I would like you people to keep in mind that you're representing us, not them, not your salary, if you get one. Okay, you're volunteers, I appreciate that. But nobody wants you here, and you're not going to be here. I have confidence in these people that you are not going to be here. This is the will of the people. You think anybody's here supporting you? The only one who's supporting you are the people who are going to make money off it. And we don't want it. Our children don't want it. Our grandchildren don't want it. The person I might try to sell my house to won't want it. And I might not be able to sell my house. You've got a lot of nerve coming here. You have a lot of nerve coming here trying to foist this off on us. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should get up and leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the questions that I have is, you indicated that you were going to be doing testing on the water. Our water is borderline as it is. You leave in 5 years, who's going to test that water? Who's going to guarantee that that water is going to stay safe? Are you going to come back and take care of us? Can you guarantee that the air, that the aquifers, that everything is going to be safe once you guys are gone? Guarantee. Without a guarantee, this is a huge risk. My children are in this school district. I own 2 properties in this town. One day I'd like to sell them. But who wants to buy it when there's a dump that is polluting the area, possibly making kids or other people sick? Can you guarantee, 100%, do you live in Sugar Grove? Would you want something that is going to be harmful to you? And I understand, this is a business. I get that. But you have to see that we're going to fight you all the way, and how can we allow this? This is our homes, this is our community, this is our children and our future. Those homes are my retirement, okay? So hopefully I make it to that. But we have to get a guarantee that when these guys are gone in 5 years, they're gonna do we have Settlers Ridge. You wanna develop on Settlers Ridge, finish that off, and then we'll talk about developing. We're not gonna be developing commercial property over there. If you're gonna do that, we would have done it already. Let's get realistic here. We've stopped all development. I mean, the only thing we seem to do is duplicate things on the same road. Got that here? We're gonna do the same thing across the street. Very poor plan. A lot of subs, a lot of necklaces. We're good at duplicating. We're not good at moving into new developments, but definitely not in that place, and not across from our school. I've had a very long day, and I came out here, made my kids cook for each other so that I could come here and talk to you, because I do not want this. And I still have kids that are going to be going through it. I have a grandchild that's going to be starting in this school district. I can't afford to take that chance without you guaranteeing that we have a safe future.
There's no guarantee.
That's the point. We don't know what's going to happen. And you saying down the road, well, we'll test, we'll do this. Well, hopefully, we'll develop. Are you going to develop? Are you guaranteeing when this is done in 5 years, you're going to come in there and put that stuff in and make sure that places fill those open space? We got stores on 47 that are empty. So why would we build more? So where does any of this make any sense? We got roads to nowhere that are brand new, but there's nothing there.
And several years ago, my well started sucking sand and I was 150 feet down. It cost me $9,000 to go to 300 feet, and you can verify that with K&K well out of Yorkshire or Morris right now. But I'm concerned about the water. We don't have Metro out here. We have private wells, and the aquifer is that stable. If I have to go down another 100 feet, it's going to cost me another $9,000 with the cost of inflation. And we don't have the luxury of having enough Fox Metro, like you mentioned earlier, in Aurora. We're on our own private wells. My concern is you're sucking a lot of water to keep down the sand and the dirt and the dust. what's going to happen with my well? You're not going to subsidize me. And I just wanted to mention that so that everybody concerned on private wells is going to have to worry about, well, how much water you're taking out, because you don't have any way, and you should be able to modify or maintain how much water they are sucking out of our raw aquifer. The water's not going to be replenished very well, and you should be able to add some type of stimulant in that, how much water are they drawing? You should be able to know that, and maybe you have to pay for that water. We don't pay for it, but I have to pay it, you know, I'm going to put $9,000 worth of money into my well. Just want to bring that attention.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having this additional opportunity to have this meeting. My name is Sakina Bajwala, B-A-J-O-W-A-L-A. And I'm a board-certified allergist and immunologist in this community. I take care of thousands of community members, both adults and children. I'm a resident of Sugar Grove, and I am the mother of 2 children in the Kingland School District, one of whom attends Harder Middle School. Over the years, I have had the opportunity to care for many patients with chronic respiratory disease, including asthma, emphysema, COPD. And one thing that we know is that air pollution is directly related to increased morbidity and mortality in a number of populations. So let's have a show of hands. Who in this room, in their household, has someone who is either an infant, a child, over the age of 65, someone who has asthma, someone who has chronic pulmonary disease, someone who has diabetes, someone who has heart disease? Please raise your hand if any of these apply to you. Thank you. All right. You should know that air pollution is a direct health to the people in your family and your homes. There are multiple different types of air pollution. There are large particles called PM10, down to the smallest particles, PM 2.5 and below. People will tell you that, oh, well, the pollution that we're making is large particle pollution and it settles out of the air very quickly. Don't buy that for a minute. Even the largest particulate matter, PM10, can stay in the air for hours and travel over 30 miles in that amount of time. Do you think Harder Middle School is 30 miles away from this site? Do you think Waubonsie Community College is 30 miles from this site? Do you think the homes that are, what, 200 yards away are over 30 miles from this site? No, they're not. They are right there. And there is no fence you can put up. There is no bubble you can build over this facility to prevent this particulate matter from traveling. It will travel. And once it travels, anyone who breathes is going to get it into their lungs. That's just the large particles. The smaller particles can stay in the air for weeks and travel hundreds of miles in that time. And because they're so small, they can travel deep into the very recesses of your lungs and stay there for a long time, causing inflammation, asthma exacerbations, trouble breathing, increased hospitalization, increased death. And this isn't only with long-term exposure or with levels of particulate air pollution that are above the thresholds regulated by the EPA. In 2017, there were 2 important studies that came out. The first was in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it looked at the entire U.S. Medicare population over a span of close to 10 years, looking exactly at the effects of air pollution on morbidity and mortality. And what this study showed is that even sub-threshold levels of air pollution, so you can say, oh, well, we were below EPA levels, doesn't matter. It's still directly associated with increases in mortality. Second study, in the Journal of the American Medical Association, published after our last meeting and just between these two meetings in December of this past year, showed that it doesn't need to be long-term exposure to particulate air pollution that causes problems. Even short-term exposure can cause morbidity and mortality. So here's the question we need to ask ourselves. Which is the lesser of two evils? Is it to have a hole in the ground? Or is it to have everybody in this community knocking down my door because they can't breathe? Because I could not live with myself if I have to look another patient in the eye and tell them that the reason they can't breathe is because I didn't do everything in my power to make sure this operation does not get approved. For a minute that you all are wonderful people and that you love your families and you love your communities and you want to do the right thing. But I don't think the right place is across the street from a school and a park. I think the right place to dump debris is far away from anyone and anything. There are plenty of places where your business can operate and dump stuff in a hole in the ground that doesn't have to be across the street from where my child and all my neighbors' children go to school. And I really hope that this testimony will be taken into consideration, because at the end of the day, what matters isn't so much that we got to build a few more houses. It's the safety and the welfare of the people in our community and our ability to live in clean and quiet air. Thank you.
What's going on here. And it's obviously very personal for me because of my proximity to this location, okay? I was born and raised in that house. My kids are born and raised in that house. My kids are the fourth generation to live in that home. The gravel pit has been there the whole time, sometimes working, sometimes not. I have memories of it when I was in high school, them doing things in there. But, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Sakina. She brings up an interesting point because I myself have asthma and my kids are right there. And I hope to God that they do not contract it. And they might, but that is an awesome point and I appreciate that. One of the other things that we talked about, at the beginning of all of this, there was going to be a concrete crushing plant, and now there's not. Also at the beginning of this, these folks were under EPA violation, which we did not know about until I personally got an anonymous letter in my mailbox dropping the hint that these guys were under EPA violation. So now, just tonight, they come forward with that information, mainly because, well, geez, now they found out. That's how I feel about it. You know, if you wanted to be forthcoming at the beginning, why not say, boy, we realize that there's a house 15 feet from the property line. Maybe a concrete crusher is not the best thing that we should have there. That maybe should have been brought up from the start. So excuse me for not 100% believing things, because they keep changing as we go, as people keep bringing up objections. One of my other objections, one of many, okay, is you can look on the village website to see this, and I encourage you to all to do it. This place is not a hole in the ground. It may look like it from the road because there's berms, but it's behind the berm. It's flat. The taper of the ground is not a hole. It just looks that way because the edges are low. So once they come in and they mine out and they fill in whatever they're going to fill in, they're going to flatten it out, which I'm sorry that I don't know it offhand, but I think it's like a 20-foot drop in grade.
16 feet.
16 feet from Harder Road to the edge of my property. So there's 40+ acres worth of runoff water that's going to be coming my way. I'm not very good at this.
My name's Dale Peterson. That's with an O, S-O-M.
Thank you.
I live on Kadika Road. I've lived on the road, I'm 74 years old. I've lived on the road 72 years. I know what the hell's going on under this ground. On the Kadika Road, there's approximately 20 shallow wells, and I mean shallow. My dad and I drove one of them 28 feet, and there's a lot of water in it yet. There's no way you can tell me, guaranteed, that there won't be no pollution, because there's one major scientific fact. The whole earth moves. Freezing and thawing, freezing and thawing. And there's no way for you to monitor that until it's too damn late. Got that? You got that? Talking to you. Okay. Also behind me, there's a swamp. It's in the Forest Preserve right now, property. There was an ancient lily growing back there in that swamp 30 years ago. Well, you know, the surface water is rising in this county, in this area. I've been up to water management, and Jody told me that it was. The thing is, those lilies are dead now. They're prehistoric lilies, and they're dead from the surface water runoff coming from the extra building around here and everything. So right there, you killed some of nature. Schools. How is a kid going to concentrate with semi-trucks? I can hear semi-trucks 5 miles away.
Yep.
How are they going to concentrate in that school without soundproofing the school all the way? And then you're going to get the damn school so damn tight